Oh. Damn. There you go. Okay, let's call tonight's meeting to order. May I ask student trustee Ashlock to lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You know, I have to tell you, this room looks like one of my classrooms where everybody sits in the back and nobody wants to be up front. All right, I need to tell you that the San Bernardino Community College Board of Trustees offers an opportunity for the public to address the board on any agenda item prior to or during the board's consideration of that item. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per topic if there are more than one speaker. At the conclusion of public comments, the board may ask staff to review a matter or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. As a matter of law, however, members of the board may not discuss or take action on matters raised during public comment unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion or action in open session. Anyone who requires a disability-related modification or accommodation in order to participate in the public meeting should contact the Chancellor's office at 909-388-6901. Write that down. As far in advance of the board meeting as possible. Are there public comments? There are not public comments. Okay, thank you. The board did receive a written public comment from Dr. Beverly Scott introducing Youth to America infrastructure, which will be entered into the official minutes of the meeting. And there are copies available for anyone who wishes to read that, as I understand. All right, approval of minutes. Moving on to that item 3. This is approval of the minutes from June 29th and 30th, and also from August 12th. May I have a motion and a second? So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes?
Madam Chair, I just note, I'm going to vote on it. There's no prohibition on voting whether you attended a meeting or not, but oftentimes people refrain from voting if they weren't at the meeting. I was listening to the meeting but unable to participate in it, and so I heard the entire meeting, but I wasn't active.
Thank you. Well, generally, the minutes are detailed enough that, yeah, good. And I know you're in, so thank you. Trustee Williams, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did want to call out the minutes from the June 29th and the 30th, the board retreat, page 5. We've never discussed our retreat as a board, you know, unless I might have missed it, but just wanted to call attention to the mission and the vision statement and, you know, confirm that, you know, like we're all in agreement that these are the things that we discussed, and, you know, that way I don't know if the team already has everything that they need to begin to move forward with these, because we're going into the strategic plan, but we've never discussed the contents of our board retreat after we have convened for 2 whole days.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this is a great time to talk about it if anybody's interested in it.
So how is it listed in the minutes? As adopted or just discussed?
It just said the board agreed to, for the mission and vision. I'm supportive of the way that it's stated here. And, you know, so again, you know, my only reason why I'm bringing this up is because, you know, we spend 2 days in these retreats, and they're getting better. Previous years, we never really review all of the things that we discussed. They kind of just disappear in the vacuum. And so, you know, if no one's interested in talking about them, we can move on.
I agree with you that what's listed in there to do the retreat makes a lot of sense. Was there anything that my colleagues read on the retreat that they wanted to see something different? This is our opportunity to move that forward.
On the vision and mission, I thought, I looked at it as, at the retreat, as if it were a first draft that we would come back to when we, but it wasn't set in cement. That's what I got from that. But
I don't know how to turn the mic on, so I'm like playing with it, but I.
Yeah, you hold the one on the right, I think.
Oh, you should hold it while I talk. So, I would agree with what you're saying, trustee Anderson, in that if we approve these minutes, does that mean we are approving the mission and vision that we talked about?
as written,
I didn't feel like.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that the, based in our strategic committee meeting, a mission and vision is gonna come back to us. And so it's in here now, and it is a great time for folks to object to words and to give recommendations so that, you know, the staff will know that, hey, look, this is not the words that we are thinking about versus waiting till it comes to us and then we, you know, waste a whole bunch of time going through it. You can get it out the way now and then give your suggestions now. And that way, when the strategic planning process starts, we don't even have to discuss it.
So with that, what's reflected in the minutes does reflect what we discussed at the meeting. I think there's a difference in, from my perspective, of this is what we discussed and this is reflected in the minutes versus we're approving a mission statement, we're approving a vision statement. I think in the context of the minutes, we're not approving those mission, vision, and values
No.
as separate items. We're simply validating that this is what we discussed. And that I agree with.
That's how I read it.
Which is why I think at this point, in terms of discussion of the content, I think that would happen when we have the mission statement as an approval item. And when we have, you know, that's when then we would, I mean, as long as we agree that this reflects what we talked about at that meeting, then it seems like that it would be appropriate to approve these minutes in this way.
Yeah, I have no changes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to save us time and debate in the future.
I think we're interpreting it the same way. That's just what we talked about. So we can go into greater detail at the retreat. Yeah. Other discussion on the minutes? Okay. With a motion and a second, I'll call the vote. Oh, hi, hello. Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
I believe I heard a unanimous aye. Were there any noes or abstentions? Okay, so the minutes will pass. Moving on to celebrations and presentations. You want to put up the applause cards? Yay. We were supposed to applaud, but they go up here for a long time. So. Chancellor, what do we, when someone gets an applause card written for them, what is the process? What happens? How do they know?
So from the president's office or the chancellor's office, depending on the site, they will receive a certificate of the applause, who is applauding them and for what purpose. And they also get a lapel pin of a hand, similar to like a helping hand or an applause hand.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Every time they get one, or?
They get a certificate every
Yeah.
time they get one pin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
The
Good.
board is welcome to do
Board
applause
can do
cards
that?
as well.
Good.
But they get, oh, I'm sorry, let's see, you have to speak?
I think if it's red, it's not intuitive. If it's red, it means you can speak,
Okay,
even though
So-
red means not.
so they only get one pin, so in other words, it's always the sound of one hand clapping.
Apparently. Excellent. Okay. Moving on to item B, employee anniversary recognition. So, also important, I am always impressed by the amount of years that people stay here. There aren't just the major years like this, but in fact, we do recognize employees that have been here at the end of their first year and fifth year and things like that as well. So, congratulations to all of them for doing great work. So terrific. Only 2 people completed a year? I know we hired more than 2 people last year.
Well, in this month, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's this month. All right, good. That was scary there for a minute. All right, well, congratulations to all of our applause cards awardees and all of our employees with anniversaries this month and for their outstanding work. Moving on to the action agenda, the first item A is Resolution 2021-0909 VOT-01, honoring the accomplishments and memory of Congressman Jerry Lewis. May I have a motion and a second for discussion?
I was gonna second it, but I guess, or do whatever it was. It sounds like you've already got both the first and the second.
Got a bunch. Let's talk about let's talk about those.
Well,
Please.
okay, let me go ahead and, let's see, is my microphone now working?
Yes.
I had the pleasure of knowing Congressman Lewis reasonably well. He was, during the time that I was on Congressman George Brown's staff in D.C., Congressman Jerry Lewis was there as well. He was, if I recall correctly, I think he was elected a couple terms before George was from this area. George had previously represented a district in LA County. But we worked very closely together. It was a different time in Congress. I'm not saying there was no partisanship, and oftentimes it was extremely difficult. Not quite like today, but it was sometimes very difficult. But somehow the relationship between George Brown and Jerry Lewis became extremely close. We had, during the first 2 years that I was on George's DC staff, we were in the Cannon building. Then after that, he moved to the Rayburn building. But in the Cannon building, George was on one side of the rotunda on the 3rd floor, and Jerry was on the other side on the 3rd floor. So we worked together just very closely. We were just practically next door, just had to go across the rotunda. And when Jerry had his plane crash, of course, the first thing that happened was he was overdue, and so concerns were being raised. And I went over to his office with his staff, and we had very close relationships, and ended up, we went out and got pizza to bring back because they didn't want to leave the office for any reason to eat, including. But it was a shared experience, and I will always remember Congressman Lewis for all the ways in which he and George Brown worked together, as well as prior to that time, as a member of the state legislature, Jerry Lewis was responsible for some of the most amazing environmental legislation, which Republicans today might have a hard time recognizing, but he was a leader on it. And so it's a great pleasure for me to join, when we vote on this, to join in voting for this.
Great. Ma'am.
I want to give a story which is very different from John's, because John knew him as an elected official. My father, who was a fierce Democrat, always voted for Jerry Lewis. And the reason he voted for Jerry Lewis is that Jerry Lewis started out selling insurance. And he sold insurance to many of the families on the west side of San Bernardino, and to many of the businesses on Mount Vernon, which used to be a very vibrant community at one time. And so he was welcomed by everybody because he would go from store to store and from family to family selling insurance. And so the community knew him and really adopted him. And so even though he was a Republican, my dad, who was died in the wool Democrat, always voted for him. Just a slightly different perspective on Jerry Lewis.
Trustee Reyes?
Yes, thank you so much. I think that a lot of us don't know all the great things that he did for our college district. I got to meet him several times, and as a governmental relation individual for here at our district, the first offices that I would stop by would be Jerry Lewis and George Brown, because they were great supporters. Thanks to the leadership of Jerry, Valley College would have been moved from where it's at to Norton Air Force Base had it not been for Jerry. There was a need for, as all of you know, we're in the middle of a earthquake, and we needed to move things, and we were going to close it. We were going to move to Norton Air Force Base. So I met with Jerry and Diana Feinstein, and I think it's true what John and Gloria are saying. To Jerry is not really about Republican or Democrat. It's about helping our community, and he really did that. I don't think that that's true right now. It's really, really hard. And he was very disappointed with what's happening now. As I kept in touch with him. Anyway, he helped me get $34 million for San Bernardino Valley College, and then eventually we got another $10 million from the state. So we got the first $45 million thanks to his leadership. We also were able to open up the fire training facility at here at by air base here, and we were able to do that. And he was such a humble man. He didn't want anything to be named after him. He just didn't want to do that. I pushed. I said, "Yeah, we're going to do it, Jerry." Then I would talk to his wife, and his wife says, "Oh yeah, we'll do it." I says, "Okay." And so he put the first, and this is the big difference. In 1995. We didn't have any funding for Hispanic serving institutions that San Bernardino Valley College is. Today, there's 569 Hispanic serving institutions throughout the country. Now, the funding at that time was only $12 million. $12 million didn't go a long ways, but we didn't have anything. We put it in. He's a very smart guy. He says, "Frank, come here. And I says, "Jerry, we're not going to," he says, "all we need to do is put it in," and John, you would appreciate that. Just put the authorization in. Next year we'll come back and we'll put some more. Sure enough, right now, that $12 million, if you put it in interest, it's $150 million for all HSIs, not just Valley College or Crafton Hills College. So he was a true champion of doing that. Now, we still need a great champion, and I still work with. And I don't mind working. When I go to Washington, D.C., now as a board member, I used to go as a government, we really don't take the issue of Republican or Democrat, because we don't tell our students, are you Republican or Democrat? Because if you're a Republican, we could sit over here. Or you don't do that. And he understood that. He really understood. He said, "Frank, we're in it." So thanks to his leadership, we have been able to do. Now, we're going after something that has never been done. And we are working closely with the historically black colleges. All of you know that the historically black colleges are getting a lot of attention. I applaud that. I'm not going to give up and say Hispanic serving institutions. Historically black colleges are getting billions of dollars for what you call capital finance, low interest and so forth. They have been very successful in producing things like Howard University and all that. I'm going to pursue that very closely. Haku is pushing for $10 billion. And it's very justifiable. We're fighting for that. And so that would open up opportunities for all. This is where I think the Chancellor and the President should be looking at it very carefully. Just because the money's there doesn't mean that we're going to get it. We have to get good committees that put in, good, whatever the parameters are in terms of the guidelines for that. And let's go after that. Because can you imagine Valley College getting, I don't know, $200 million for what our previous president and chancellor now? It would be great to develop what is happening across the street at Valley College in terms of dormitories and so forth. That's what the money's for. So we're going to battle very much. We're going to fight very hard. And I think we're going to be successful because we have a good track record. So from a perspective of a governmental relations director and now as a board member, I ask that whatever the committees you put, that they're sensitive to that because we can get the money. And the leadership is through Haku. So, and Jerry Lewis believed in Haku. And that's why I'm totally dedicated. My mission was to be able to convert Jerry Lewis from a Republican to a Democrat. And I almost did that. I almost did the same thing with Don Averill. When I first met Don Averill, he was a true Republican. And now he almost gave me his card that he's now a Democrat. But now, in all seriousness, we all work together. Our students need to, and that's my passion is I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. So anyway, Jerry was a true champion and all of us. Quick story. For the first time, I had Jerry Lewis and George Brown come to San Bernardino Valley College. Gloria, you were there, I think. And Jerry Lewis was the chair of the Appropriations Committee. That's the person that gives the money. And he was also the chair. He was very instrumental in being in the committee for the with defense. And of course, George was the godfather of the science. And I brought them together and says, I don't know how you did that. They worked together. They were good friends. They meant well for the community. So I'm truly humble and honored that we're thinking about doing something special for Jerry Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other discussion?
Well, you know what, I have a completely different perspective. So, first of all, I met Jerry Lewis probably somewhere around 10 times. I was about 21 years old, and I was, like most 21-year-olds, working as a server in a restaurant. And my interaction with him was actually as a server for him in the restaurant that I worked at in Redlands. And I also worked at Redlands Country Club for a minute. So that was my experience, and it was always so interesting because I didn't really know who he was, but I knew that he was important. And I knew he was sort of like like a local celebrity, because of how everyone else reacted to when he would come into the restaurant. Mm-hmm. I would have never known based on how he reacted to me and how he treated me with nothing but respect and kindness, and for that I really appreciate him. And so now fast forward to now. And I've been serving on the San Bernardino Regional Emergency Training Center, JPA, as the college district representative to that JPA. And when I walk in the building, and oh, by the way, yesterday I was at the building because we did some strategic planning with the team, and to see the plaque with his name on, in the building, recognizing him and thanking him for his contribution to, standing that building up and standing that program up over 20 years ago, and to engage in planning about what the future is going to hold for the training programs and how much growth and what has happened over the last 20 years. It's kind of an interesting and fun full circle moment for me today. And I was mentioning yesterday, we have an agenda item on our, in front of the board today that is to recognize Mr. Lewis. And it was just a kind of, I just wanted to share that perspective because it's completely, my goodness sakes, different. So thank you.
Is there other discussion? All right, let's call for the vote then to approve the resolution. Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, I'm not hearing any noes, any abstentions. Motion passes. Okay, item B is a public hearing on the final budget for fiscal year 2021-22. So I need to open a public hearing on the final budget for the fiscal year. Do we have any comments from the public? All right, hearing no comments, we will close the public hearing. Thank you. And move on to item C, final budget for fiscal year 2021 and 22. May I have a motion and a second? So moved. Thank you. Thank you. Discussion on the budget. Okay, well, it is an excellent budget. And we've had quite a bit of discussion on it
I
prior
do
to
have a
this. Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
In the analysis, total of all funds, and so the total revenue for all funds is 323 million, that's correct? And then on the next paragraph, it starts out with the total expenses for all funds is 512 million. But that's spread over beyond this fiscal year, right? Because that includes things that are not going to be paid out this year. Just wanted to clarify.
That is correct.
Good, good. All
Because
right.
it looks as though we're in the hole by 189 million, but it isn't that. Okay.
Perfect. All right. Any additional discussion? Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Budget passes. Moving on to the consent agenda, which is expected to be routine and non-controversial. But let's see what happens, shall we? It will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any member of the board, staff member, or citizen may request that an item be removed from this section for discussion. Are there any items that anyone would like to have moved?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to table the job description for the Vice Chancellor of Educational Services.
That's under B1. And it is okay to table one part of a 4-part item. That is correct, all of our, okay, good. The lawyer is nodding his head with a lawyer, okay. Excellent, so when we vote on this, we will vote on that one portion separately and vote on the rest of it with the group that we are going to vote on momentarily.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have to table it? Can it just be removed? I'm asking the attorney.
Since it's up for approval, it does need to be tabled.
Okay,
I will second the motion that has already been made to table it. If
Okay.
there's not
Okay.
already such a need.
Can the
Okay.
Chancellor make a motion then?
Who made
I
the
can
motion?
request, but I can't move.
okay, so will you make that not a second, but your motion, sir?
And I'll
That's
second
fine.
it.
That's fine.
Okay, and seconded. So we are removing tabling one item in B1. Other items to be,
As a technicality, Madam Chair, you need to just ask for votes on the table.
We have to vote on that.
oh, we have to vote on the table
Yeah,
before we move on to anything else.
that's correct. You just
Okay.
vote to table it.
Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Thank you for letting me know, too. All right, other items to be pulled.
If I may?
Ma'am.
Item number B14, please.
B14, unpaid leave of absence.
And item number C1.
C1, contracts at or above 96,700.
Yes.
Anything else to be identified for? Okay, so with the
What was the
removes,
second one? I'm sorry.
B14 and C1.
C1.
Okay.
Clarification, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify, as I understand it, we are pulling them, we're not tabling them. Is that correct?
Correct, we're
Pull
pulling
for
them for
separate
discussion.
consideration.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, so with the consent, we're going to vote on the consent agenda with the exception of the tabled B1 portion and items B14 and C1, which we are pulling for discussion.
So
So we're
moved.
voting for this. So moved?
Second.
In a second. Okay, excellent. Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Good, all right. Let's go to the in alphabetical order. B14.
What page is that?
I don't know, there's no page number on my agenda.
I only know where it's at in the
Gavenda, yeah.
What page?
Can we bring up item B14, please, on the screen? Thank
I
you.
think B14 is before this
Oh, there it is.
one. No, you're fine. You're fine. Because this is it's a different one.
I don't know what page number that is.
It's the one right before that one. That's good. it's
It's on
on
the
page
screen.
209 in
Okay.
the book, and the page number is at the top right corner.
Yeah, there it is.
So 209
Mhm.
in that book, and it's item number B14 in Govenda.
All right. Trustee, would you like to begin the discussion?
Do we want to have a motion in a second, or do we want
Do
to,
we
I
need-
mean,
Yeah, well, didn't you motion to, no, I'm sorry.
I just, yeah, wanted it pulled, but I
Yeah.
will not make a motion to approve this, so I don't know, I just will say that.
Okay, do we need a motion and a second to discuss? We have a motion?
We should.
I'll second.
Okay, I heard a motion and a second. Now we're free to discuss.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't moving it.
Oh,
I want to hear
I'll
what you
move
got to
it.
say.
Okay, I'll motion it. I heard a second from trustee Harrison. If you speak, you move. So-
I was like, I want to hear what she got to say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, it's not a motion to approve, it's simply a motion to discuss.
So
Oh,
discuss.
So we're
Okay.
safe, okay.
Okay.
So we can now discuss.
Right. So I just have a concern over this item because it appears that it is an individual that's requesting an unpaid leave to go work somewhere else, and then at the end of that period of time, come back and work for us. And it doesn't make sense to me, so I just wanted to have further discussion. Maybe it makes sense to others, and as I understand it, our policy is silent on this specific scenario of requesting a leave to go work somewhere else. And that makes me a little bit nervous in that it's silent, so then we're interpreting it because it's silent. And is this how we want to interpret it? Because I feel like if we do this, we would potentially be setting a precedent that maybe or maybe not we wouldn't be able to fulfill moving forward. So that's just my quick thought.
Trustee,
Longo? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, as I look at it, and I'd be interested before we take our vote in hearing any comments Ms. Hannon may be able to share with us. But as I, just purely from the material that we have in front of us, this very short amount of background, it strikes me a couple things seem worth noting. One is that we have already in the past voted to make this possible, to accept a provision wherein we have the ability, when we feel there's justification for it, to approve such a request, paid or unpaid, depending on what the circumstances may be. We left ourselves that flexibility. And from my reading of the material, again, awaiting our staff's further information, it sounds like a reasonable possibility of something that could be helpful. And I would also have, just as a general approach to dealing with our employees, the attitude that if we don't have a problem with something, I would prefer to cooperate with the employees. If we have a problem, sometimes we're going to have to, not be in agreement. But if I don't see a specific problem with something, for me, the default is, let's try and work things out together. So that's the basis on which I am prepared to vote in favor of this measure, again, awaiting staff's additional information.
Other discussion?
I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I know in our company we have developmental opportunities, but it's spelled out a lot better than this. The analysis, I think, is weak because it doesn't really say what the benefit to the district is. It's not specific. It doesn't say, what skills this person is going. I don't even know if the skills are aligned. It just says the person is going to develop leadership skills. I don't know what they're going to go do. And then how they're going to, so when we have developmental assignments, it's really spelled out the career path that the person is on, the succession plan that they're a part of. And so I think the analysis could just be, and then who's fulfilling this person's role while they're gone, I think the analysis could be just beefed up more. But the concept, I don't have a problem with someone having a developmental assignment. It's weird that it's outside of the district. Usually, like, why don't we have this kind of opportunity inside the district?
Well, and my wondering is, I mean, again, from what we have is it looks to me like someone's going to take another job and get paid from another institution, right? And then they've made a promise to come back. Is that like a promise that's enforceable? Yeah, I mean, what does that look like? And I'm just thinking from the students, like, how does this benefit the students? How does this benefit our district?
Are they actually going to take a job, or are they going to learn leadership skills at another institution for a year?
For this For this particular case, they will be taking another position. They are being backfilled with adjuncts. The board policy does allow for any leaves that aren't covered in the board policy or in contract, that the board can decide to approve any leaves for any reason, whether they're paid or unpaid. So this person is requesting that the board approve this 1-year leave. It is something that we have done in the past for shorter periods of time, but this is the request of the person. They are taking another position, but that leadership position will benefit them in their role as a faculty chair when they return to the district.
Now, and is there a reason they can't do this, learn these skills here?
We don't have a position. This is they're taking an administrator role. So in order for them to do that here, they would be leaving faculty service and then working as an administrator.
Oh, so this is taking an administrative position, okay.
So the person's going to take an administrative position at another institution?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Okay, so they're
Yeah.
taking another position at another institution, and they expect that to be just a 1-year gig for them, and then they're going to come back here?
After the
And they're
year,
going to come back here as a non-administrator?
after they return, they will be returning back into faculty service. They would be coming back into their role as a faculty member.
And the other institution understands that? Like it's just a 1-year contract or something, or are they saying like?
It's a
I'm-
1-year contract, correct?
Madam
I-
Chair,
Sir.
if I may just ask, does anyone on our staff, and I'm not specifically limiting it to HR, but that's where I'd expect to hear something, but could be the Chancellor. Does anyone have a recommendation for us as to whether in this circumstance, they feel it's justified to, they recommend that we approve it, or they recommend that we don't approve it?
The recommendation to approve did come through the campus administration. The faculty member had conversations with the dean and the vice president, so it does come with that support. So again, there are adjuncts covering the role, and there's a limited financial cost to the district.
Madam Chair,
Sir.
if I may continue, it sounds to me like there are actually some benefits to us from this arrangement, but I can't weigh them very well, but frankly, I don't feel qualified to weigh them as well as our staff does, and as well as our staff can. And so I'm, given the fact that staff recommends we approve it, and it fits with my perceptions of how we should be relating to our employees anyway, I'm ready to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Harrison?
I just wanted to point out that to take a semester off is going to cost that employee vacation time, sick leave, CalSTRS service credit. I mean, it is a huge sacrifice to take these few months to do something like this, which sounds as though it's sort of like staff development.
Correct.
And so the cost to the individual is also high. And so I don't have any problem with this. I think we don't get this very often because people usually take, there are other ways to get sick long-term illness, we have a policy on that.
Right.
But if we need to review our policy on this kind of thing, then we need to do that. But I don't have any objection on approving this one, but it does bring up the question of defining it perhaps a little better and having a better analysis of it. Because this is the counselor service credit, that's a biggie, because that affects your pension. And so.
But they're
those
just
are-
not accruing it with us. They're gonna accrue it over there though, right?
It'll be different because
They
they
don't-
accrue
they
with
don't
us
get
under
health
faculty
benefits,
service,
yeah.
and so it is slightly
They
different.
don't have
Yeah,
health
yeah,
benefits, so, I mean, that's a big sacrifice, it really is.
But
Okay.
I just,
Trustee Reyes?
Yeah, I have a question
Yeah,
before
then
you
Trustee
know, how long has she been with us? It seems
I
like
believe 27 years,
27 years.
27 years, I believe.
27 years.
she's
because-
thought about this very carefully. So, and
Yeah.
what have been her evaluations in terms of the
Can we
performance?
ask that? Is that appropriate? That's not appropriate. Yeah.
so,
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying
It
that because
shouldn't
I want to
make a
see
difference.
how, it seems to me like this young lady is pretty well qualified and to give up as much as she is. And the
Not mine.
students are benefiting tremendously, but if she's willing to do that, I feel the same way as some of our colleagues here, that she's taking a loss in what she's doing, but she must be doing it for a reason. Not in a negative way, but maybe in a development professionally. And if she's done a good job for us from the evaluation that she's doing, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, there's pros and cons here, but I think that we should really look at that very carefully, especially if the students are really happy. They have been happy. I think I've heard her name several times. I was there for 35 years, but didn't, and she is one of the leaders. So, I wouldn't have any problem either way, but I want to be supportive of the things that she wants to do, because she seems to be like she's a good leader and a good.
Trustee Williams?
so I'm supportive of the item. I just would like to see more structure. This came up with CSEA and the lack of career ladder and pathway opportunities for folks that are in, say, one role, but they want to experience a different role. It seems like the district should have more avenues for people, like, why can't we shadow an administrator so I just would like to see more opportunities designed for folks to be able to do something like this inside the district, or even if they're going outside the district, just put some structure to it.
Trustee Harrison?
I just don't want it to get lost in the sense of having this reviewed as policy.
Yeah.
I know it's not part of this, but there should be a follow-up that we will, an update and follow-up so that we review our policy. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
may I-
It's unusual and nothing that I've had to deal with in the last 6 years. Trustee Houston?
And I don't know this person at all. This is not a personal thing. This is, to me, it's a precedent-setting item. It's, the policy does need to be reviewed and clarified. My concern is if we have someone make the same request in the future, because if we approve this request, how do we then not approve a future request? And maybe it's somebody who hasn't been here 27 years, and maybe it's somebody who track record maybe isn't so great, and whatever. I mean, those are like judgment calls that I don't want to
don't
be in
wanna
the
make those.
position of having to make because the policy's silent. And so that's my concern. My concern is the slippery slope set with the precedent of approving an item like this. So I hope that, I want to make sure that that's clear. There is nothing personal going on here for me. It's sort of like, would we approve this every time it comes to us? And if the answer is no, then I wouldn't approve this, right? But if the answer is yes, no matter who it is, no matter what the circumstances, we would approve this, then okay, I'm all for it. And if that's what we're saying, I feel like that's what we're saying if we approve this, is that every single time, so hypothetically speaking, we have more than a handful of people that make this request. We would be able to accommodate that through adjunct, through filling the positions temporarily in this labor market, in this economy. I don't know. It just seems a little bit, that's my concern. So it's not anything other than that for me.
So let me ask, you, how do you, if the manager is recommending or whoever is like the person that's over this area is recommending that something like this comes forward, does that change your thinking about it? Like, you know, because I could see some random person coming up and asking, but if they don't have manager approval or something like that, we might not approve something like this, you know? So I don't see that us approving any and every request like this that came forward.
And that's not spelled out, right?
Okay.
That's not spelled out. And so until that's spelled out, I think we still run the risk of the slippery slope. And that to me is, you know, that's the fundamental problem. The policy isn't spelled out with that level of specificity. And until it is, I'm not comfortable with this. So I don't know if it's worthy of tabling I don't know if it's worthy of tabling this, getting more clarification, specificity into the policy, and then applying the policy, because then we can apply the policy to every scenario. And the policy then is solid with what we need. I don't know if that's even feasible. I don't know, you know, and it's not about not being
So,
agreeable with what's good for an individual person. It's more of, is this going to be good moving forward for the entire district? Because it is not spelled out.
Yeah.
Yes, if it comes from a manager, I would love that, if it was spelled out in the policy.
So, yeah,
Also-
I have a go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
My recommendation is that we direct the chancellor to develop, because it sounds like the procedure is what's missing. I haven't read the policy, but we can direct the chancellor to bring us back a spelled out procedure. Use this as a pilot, you know, whatever you learn from what's happening with this person, you develop your procedure, and then we, you know, we'll have something.
But approving this as written now, would that not set precedent for the future?
We just say
It
no.
wouldn't?
No, because, no, it would not. The way it's written now, it meets our current policies. But if we change our policies and our procedures moving forward, any request coming forward has to
Meet
meet those
that,
new
yeah,
requirements.
yeah. So
So
how
to answer the question, no, it does not set precedent.
how soon would you like to see a procedure? Trustee Houston.
I would defer to what's reasonable,
Yeah.
given the workload.
Well,
I
we
would-
recently met with our policy and procedure team yesterday, and so we will be meeting again next month. It will take a couple of months to get through that process before it's back at the board. But we can have a new policy or procedure ready. Can't give a date, but it can be as soon as it gets through our committee, and then it can come to the board.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and it's uncomfortable because it's not our job to figure out HR things. You know, I know you've talked to this person has talked to their bosses and things like. The other thing that kind of made me think about it differently was when you said this was a one-year contract. Because when I read it, and this is only my perception, it's someone who found a new job but wanted a fallback and said, you know, I'm gonna be there a year, but if I don't get to stay after a year, then I want to go back to my other job. And I don't know this person or anything about this person at all. I'm sure they're fabulous. They teach history, so they've got to be good. But that's how I read it. So if it was saying a 1-year project, that's like a sabbatical. That makes sense to me. But anyway, all right.
Can we call
so-
for the question? Oh, John.
John, yeah,
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
John.
I see this differently than Trustee Houston sees it. And for me, I think on a personnel matter of this sort, first, that I am inclined to be more reliant on staff recommendations than on some other things, because I just don't feel that I have as much information as they're able to obtain on something. I like the idea of not having an extraordinarily rigid set of requirements that give us some flexibility. I prefer that. I think one of the problems often in government entities is rigidity that doesn't allow meeting unusual circumstances. So that's something that I actually like about it. It's obvious that we have some differences of views here, and it's kind of amorphous, and I can see where we want to have some additional discussions on this. And if we approve this one now, which would be just for this one specific instance, I see no reason to delay that. We prove that now. And as was suggested, I'm not sure, Chancellor, were you suggesting that it be used as a pilot to some extent? Or somebody was saying it? Trustee Williams, to use it as a pilot. I like the idea that we'll benefit from the experience. The employee will benefit from her experience, but we'll also benefit from the experience and perhaps be able to develop out a little more, a little less amorphous kind of a procedure. But I don't see that as being an extremely urgent thing. I don't think these are things that we have to deal with a whole lot. It's not like we're inundated with them or anything. And in this case, I see no reason not to support this particular request in any event. Thank you.
Other discussion? Yeah, I'll just add with my additional understanding of what is happening here, I am more inclined to vote for it. And with the understanding that we're going to go back and look at the policy. Okay. And the procedures. Right, so that it's fair to all the employees. That's where I'm going. Okay, perfect. We have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. So student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Yeah, good discussion. Thank you. This is how we get things done. Okay. The other item that was pulled was C1, contracts on or above $96,700. Can I have a motion and a second for discussion? Second. Thank you. Trustee Houston, you pulled it.
I'll just be abstaining from this one because there's a contract that is for the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, perfect. Student trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, with one abstention. Thank you very much. All right, so let's move on to reports, board committee reports. We can give the legislative report, as Trustee Reyes wasn't with us. At our meeting today, we discussed a couple of items, the status of state legislation of interest to our district and also board legislative principles. There are 16 bills that we've tracked since January of this year. The majority of the bills are aligned with our legislative principles to promote equity, funding for student success, college affordability, and basic needs. Among those 16 bills, I want to highlight 4 really quickly that are heading to the governor for his signature. AB 1456, which is Medina, McCartney, and Leyva, would reform Cal Grant so that more students receive more financial aid to cover the total cost of college, like books, housing, and food, not just the cost of tuition. AB 927, which is a Medina bill, would allow more community colleges to provide bachelor's degrees to meet regional workforce needs. AB 469, Reyes, would ask every high school student to apply for financial aid before graduation unless they choose to opt out. This will help a lot more students afford college and career training in our community colleges and transfer to 4-year universities. And SB 169 is the legislation that allocates about $1 billion to develop affordable student housing at our community colleges, at Cal States, and at UC campuses. Since the legislative session wraps up tomorrow, I do want to take an opportunity to express our thanks for the historic budget investments and legislative support for our community college students. Looking ahead, the Board Legislative Committee will work this fall with the Chancellor and staff to start preparing our advocacy efforts to begin again in January 22. So we have a lot of work to do and a lot of bills on the table, and hopefully that's going to translate into some positives for our district. Finance Committee.
The
Did you have
Finance Committee did not have a meeting this month. Everybody should get, well, everybody has a lot of reading. If you have not looked at the information items on the budget, it's quite extensive, and I recommend that you read it. That's all I can say to you. I go through it because I like budgets, but I'm sorry, guys, I really do like it. But it's because I never had an allowance as a kid, so when I finally had a little bit of money, I counted every penny. So that's where it comes from. So, but anyway, we should be getting some talking points on the budget to all of the trustees soon, so that everybody can express if you're asked a question or if you're asked to speak before a group. As things are opening up again, we're being asked to address some of the service clubs, and so if that is the case, you have some talking points that are valid and that we can defend. And I think that's it. And we did ask for some updates, and hopefully we'll have a meeting at the next. Oh, I'm not on.
You're on now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to repeat all of that. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to repeat all of that. But anyway, the main thing is that you will have a one-page that you can use as talking points on the budget. And I thank the staff for getting that done, and thank you. So we're all saying the same thing. We're all on the same page.
Excellent. Thank you. Trustee Williams, anything from the Board of Governors?
Yeah, so the Board of Governors is going to be meeting on September the 20th. We were supposed to be meeting in our district, but I just wanted the cabinet and the team to know, like, I'm learning so much about other districts, but when the Chancellor's team talks about San Bernardino, they talk about you all in such high regards and with respect, and San Bernardino is going to be part of the spotlight for success as a part of the September 20th meeting. So I hope you all log in and just hear about all of the great things that is going to say about the work that you all are doing in the district. Lastly, I had an opportunity to attend Meeting of the Minds, the California Workforce Association's annual conference. Today was the last day, and one of the sessions that I participated in was just fascinating. It was talking about the future of work and the future of classrooms. And so they went over augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. And I actually signed us up to get for a drawing to win these. I think they're called Inoculus. They're AV virtual reality glasses. But they were just showing how nursing students can do their labs from home with these devices, and how construction workers can be in one place and do their job using virtual reality. And it's just fascinating to just really see what technology is doing and what classrooms will look like in the future. And just really, excited to see what the future holds in our district. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Trustee Houston?
So I mentioned just briefly when I was talking about Congressman Lewis that there was strategic planning that occurred yesterday at the San Bernardino Regional Emergency Training Center. And so I just wanted to reiterate that and let you know that we're going to request next month to have a small presentation from the team at the regional center to kind of give everyone a snapshot of what's going on there, and really just a quick illustration of the impact of that center on our communities and actually our larger region of the state, national, and even global. So it's
Nice.
I think it's some pretty good stuff, and I'm not sure that everyone is aware of it. So look forward to that for potentially next month.
Thank you. Trustee Reyes?
Yes, I have a question for actually too, but one for Stephanie Hispanic. Appreciate the work that she's doing on the biotechnology building. Gloria and I worked really hard to try to get the money there. sorry. In your opinion, because it was a beautiful, when we opened the building, it was beautiful and the vision was good and all that. That's before the economy went down. We even had people from France come over and look at the facility, okay? And it was beautiful. Are they doing anything? Can we do anything? Is the county, meaning the county firefighters, still very involved? Even with a budget, because we don't want to be held, it goes back to what perhaps Kevin can answer that. It's for, it was supposed to be a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I don't know what it is now in terms of the expenses. That's the original
So
plan.
at this point, it's a cost recovery model, right? It's set up as cost recovery, so they charge for the folks who come in to
And
train.
they should.
So it's set up as a cost recovery, but the entire administrative function associated with running the center falls 100% on the county fire,
On the
on county fire. They provide the personnel, they provide all of that for the administrative function.
Because they would have never qualified if it had been for Crafton Hills College. So, but we can work with the Board of Supervisors that is in that area, and in good partnership. I think I'm glad that you're still very involved with that, because that's an important one. And that I remember when we opened it. We took pictures and all that. If you see, there's a plaque there with Jerry Lewis
It did.
and Gloria Harrison and Frank Reyes. So it takes a great deal of pride. Thank
Yes.
you. I have another question, Madam Chair, for Trustee Williams. In regards to, he was explaining on the workforce that they're like, this may be a great opportunity for us. You said that the construction people can now do some things. And with what we're gonna do with a new building, do you see a great benefit in regards to what we can do to expand that, to capitalize on that? I want us to be viewed as the college district with vision and helping with all development of not what which is what we have, but what we can have, including, at one time, we talked about nanotechnology.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, we're building my understanding is the new building at Valley is going to be, is it going to be net zero? That's the plan. Did you say no? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Who said no?
I mean, so,
Sarah.
yeah,
Sarah said yes.
if we want to be innovative, that should be part of the curriculum, is really teaching people about net zero technology. Edison is filing a $600 million application with the California Public Utilities Commission to, it's a range of things in there, but just if you're going to build a building like that, how are you teaching the people and the students in the community about the technology and all of the jobs and stuff that are going to be associated? All new construction, all new residential construction is going to have some type of solar. You think about battery storage and, islanding technology. That could be at Valley. It should be at Valley College if you think about where the future is going. And even if you think about just water heaters, and so the new thing is to put electric heaters in folks, but we don't have a lot of folks that have the skill to service both an electric water heater and a gas water heater. And so thinking about all of the jobs that could come as a result of that. And there's so much opportunity right now. And one last thing, because I don't think it was clear, is that the BOG is recognizing the district on September 20th for the good work that it's been doing. And I believe there's a donation that actually goes to the campus as a result of the work that you all have been doing. And so it's a significant thing to get statewide recognition like that, because you're getting the audience of the whole state. And so, a lot of districts are receiving that. And so again, when I talk to the staff, they hold you all in great esteem, and they talk highly about San Bernardino Community College District. And so you really should log on the 20th and just, watch what's going to be said about the district. It's really good to be, part of this district.
Great, and you can get that information to us to go to that specific.
Will do.
And just the last thing, and
Sure.
in compliment with what Joseph's doing it, is I want to thank the two presidents and the Chancellor for really taking the lead of. I'm also a board member for the Inland Empire Labor Council, and those are the ones that really are talking about what Joseph was just talking about in regards to opportunities as it pertains to the future workforce and the unions. They're very well connected. I understand that, I recommended that they meet with our chancellor, the presidents, to talk about it, and they do have a meeting coming up soon. And again, that's so important for us because we want to be, I keep telling these people, as Trustee Williams says, that we're fairly well respected in the state, but actually in the country as well. I know that there was a report, and I missed the legislative committee because I have some illness, but doing a little bit better. But I want to thank Angel because we're also talking about national opportunities in regards to being recognized. So all of us working together, bringing our resources, I think it's good for our students and it's good for the college. So I want to make sure that Diana does a good job, and she will, meeting with these people that are leaders that are going to be talking about workforce, okay? The County of San Bernardino and Riverside. Riverside Community College gets a lot of help. I want us to get even more help.
I agree. All right, moving on to.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's right. I just wanted to, I actually have three different things that have come up during the course of the conversation, and working backwards, the comments that Trustee Williams just made remind me that I suspect a lot of people, particularly during the past months when we've been doing a lot of meetings on Zoom, and so folks have not been getting as much information necessarily as usual. I don't know if everyone realizes that's even watching this meeting at home or here in the audience tonight, that this is the only community college district in the state of California which has both of its colleges in the highest rating of any, the credentials, the highest rating that you can have. There is no other district in California which has two colleges that are both at this high status. I mean, that's an amazing thing to say, folks. In the entire state of California, we're the only one. That's one of the points I wanted to note. Because sometimes we kind of don't toot our own horns enough, and Trustee Williams brought that out. And I'll be looking forward to watching that September 20th meeting. I'm going to try like heck to be able to watch that. Also, with regard to two of the committee reports, well, the report that Trustee Houston made with regard to the fire institution, which I was the board representative previous to your election, and if I recall, I think actually the reason I gave it up was to make a vacancy for you, because as a new member there weren't a lot of open things to participate in, and it was something you were interested in. And I was actually president of that board at the time. So I'm going to be real interested in the report that you're going to be giving on what all's been going on there. It's a very significant training facility that most people in this area don't even realize exists. That we have this wonderful fire training facility at a time when my God, the state is being racked with wildfires at an increasing frequency. We are playing a vital role here. And finally, I want to go back to the report the chair gave with regard to the legislative committee, and note that I have mentioned a number of times, and I won't repeat the long discussion of it, the fact that we are in a window of opportunity because of our unusual relationships with the state legislature that we have right now. And those positions won't be filled with the same people for long periods of time. People move on. We are in a position to get better treatment from the state legislature right now than almost any district in the state, maybe with RCC being somewhat similar. And so our Ledge Committee, in our discussion, we noted that we're going to ask, speaking to my colleagues here, we're going to ask members if they can make a trip to Sacramento at least sometime during the coming months, and perhaps more than one. I realize it's a real inconvenience for people. We don't get paid per diems for going on these trips, and sometimes it takes away from your income on your regular position, or it certainly causes a lot of work. But we're in an unusual opportunity, and we can achieve some real significant things this year, and this coming year, in 2022 I'm talking about. We have, this should be a golden year for us, and we should focus on our legislative agenda more than normal. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the Chancellor's report, and if you could also hit key performance indicators.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Haran and the foundation, Michelle Riggs, and her staff for a wonderful reception that they had for me at Dr. Haran's home, so thank you for that. I even had the pleasure to be able to walk away with a delicious baggie of meatballs. Thank you, Brandy. Appreciate that. Just want to highlight real quick a couple of programs throughout the district. First off, EdCT for their Prison to Employment program. They have done a fantastic job with the past 5 cohorts to date, serving 39 individuals. Then 20 of them received full-time employment due to the work that they did with this program, which is just phenomenal. And 5 of those are still receiving services from EdCT, and we're hopeful that they will find employment as well. So outstanding work from Dina Krayberg and her team. In KVCR, we've had a lot of discussion about KVCR and do we have students working within KVCR, hands-on training in KVCR. This semester, we have between 50 and 75 students through 7 different classes that are rotating on a weekly basis through the station to get hands-on training and working with the faculty within the discipline and also with some of the staff within KVCR. Still much work to be done there, but I think we are making progress in that area. The other thing that I'd like to say is, first of all, thank you to Trustee Williams for his work in helping us get reacquainted and connected with the BOG. And also through his efforts, I've been having somewhat regular conversations with Acting Chancellor Gonzalez at the state level and just sharing with them the good work that we're doing. And as Trustee Longville mentioned, and thank you also for recognizing all of the hard work for accreditation, and absolutely right, not an easy thing to achieve. So kudos to the campuses and all the sites for that. That was one of the things that put us on their radar. They're also very impressed with our bond efforts and what we've been doing there, our various programs, and also our efforts in DEIA in closing achievement gaps. And those are some of the things that myself and the presidents will be highlighting when we do our presentation to the BOG and, in essence, to the entire state. So very excited about that. If I can ask our team to put up the video. As we know that Dr. Singer has sent his retirement notice to our Board of Trustees. And Dr. Singer is someone that I have watched since I was a faculty member at Valley. Just an incredible, incredible man that I think a lot of what we have here at the district has his fingerprints on it. And because of what he's been able to do for us. I've learned a lot from him. Incredibly impressed of his knowledge in reading the board book on curriculum and how he ties that to today's world. Learned a lot from him. He will certainly be missed. And we just want to thank him from all of us throughout the district for his 36 years of distinguished service and impact. If you could move to the next slide, please. It's not a long presentation here because I'm sure we will be doing more to celebrate him. But just some fun facts, if you will, with Dr. Singer. He served 140 days as a member of our Board of Trustees. As a trustee, he served with 16 trustees, 4 chancellors, 5 presidents at Crafton Hills College, 8 presidents at Valley College since 2001. In 1995, he hosted then President Bill Clinton, and he loved to tell that story about how that came about. And the biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, is that he was a trustee that helped serve over 238,000 students. So impressive, impressive career. He was, if we can advance a slide, just a couple of, a few photos. Some of you may see yourselves in these photos. When I talked with Dr. Singer, although he, regretted having to resign from the board, but he left knowing that the district was in incredible hands. I think his words to me, I don't want to quote him, but I will paraphrase him, that the board has its best leadership right now. And he was happy about that. Next slide, please. So I think all of us just want to say thank you to Dr. Singer for his 36 years of service. And on behalf of the almost 239 students that he served, thank you, Dr. Singer, for your work. And with that, for the KPIs, I'd like to ask Dr. Christopher Crew if he can give a brief summary of what's in the packet, an overview, please.
Thank you. That's going to be a challenge to see. Great, okay. So we have 2 KPIs that we have today in the board book. The first is the number of students that are completing transfer level math and English. And across the 2 pages, I just want to orient us to the data. These are students who are first time in our district, or first time transfer students into the district, who have not taken transfer level math or English anywhere else. Use this pointer here. So we look at it across 4 years, 2017-18 up to last year, 2020-2021. We're looking at the number of students that completed transfer level English, transfer level math, and then the group of students that completed both of them in their first year of being here. And so if we look at the trend that goes across, you see this increase that's happening across transfer level English, math, and both of them together. You see this huge jump here in 2019-20. That's when our AB 705 takes place. So we see this significant increase in number of students that are completing transfer level math and English. And the rest of the graphs show the exact same pattern. If you look at the first 2 years on the left, it's low, and then you see this bump that comes. We see that coming through the AB 705 legislation. So rather than walk you through every single page, I just want you to know that that's the pattern that you're seeing. They were relatively lower numbers, and then we see a good bump that comes in 1920 and 2021. So if there's any specific questions, I'll answer that. But the good news is that we have great increase in the number of students that are completing these courses that are going to be important and then transferring to the 4-year university. Yes.
Please. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. So the absolute numbers are going up. As a percentage, right, we have more students also that are in these classes, right? So as a percentage, because I've kind of heard statewide, percentage-wise, it might be maybe even a slightly lower percent, but the absolute numbers are bigger. So that's kind of what we're celebrating.
Yes.
Are we seeing that trend as well, or are our percentages up?
No, our percentages actually went up.
Oh,
So I
that's
did
awesome.
I compared that to the state. Before AB 705, the number of students that were completing transfer level math and English were 9%, 10%, and now we're up to 16%.
Awesome.
Now, that's not the state level trend, but that is our
Right,
trend.
right, that's why I was, okay,
Okay.
thank you so much,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So we'll,
What page is that?
Two,
Two
yeah, 30,
thirty-six, 236.
yeah. If you squint really close, you can see it in there. Yeah.
I didn't want to get too deep into it because the AB 705 report actually highlights some really neat things that dovetail nicely with both the KPI reports that we're looking at today. So I'll give you more detail when we get there.
Thank you.
Okay. So the second KPI, oh, well, let me not move on. If there's any other questions.
Please continue.
Thank you. And so again, this, we can move through. This is now the data just split by race and then by age. And again, it's the same pattern. You see lower numbers here prior to AB 705. AB 705 comes into place. You see a jump. And it's across every age group and across every race and ethnicity that we now have this increase. So this is, and I'll pause for a quick second. Okay. All right. So the next KPI is looking at the course success rates. And it's the exact same pattern. We see these first 2 years prior to AB 705, success rate is a little bit lower. We actually went up in 2019, 2020 with a slight dip that comes after, and we know that that's a COVID-related drop that we see. There was a huge increase in number of students that were taking EWs, so that rate jumped up on us because more students were withdrawn from the courses, and then that's not the case in the second year, so that number went down a little bit. And so until that normalizes, until we see what post-COVID life is like, this data is very tentative. And if we were to scroll down, again, it's the same pattern. You see, it's a lot of data here, so I'll just draw your attention. If you look at the bars, if you're looking at this afterwards, if you're comparing 17, 18, 19, 20, every group was actually on an upward trend. We were trending upward, COVID hit, and then there started to be some downward trends. So again, maybe 2 or 3 years of tracking this, things will look a little bit cleaner for us. And that's the story on the KPIs, and I'll be back with something else on AB 705 unless there's follow-up questions.
I know that the colleges, we have different groups working together, discuss how we can make things better. Do you belong to, first of all, this is very good. Do you belong to a group, not only within our county, but statewide, where you guys have discussions as to how we can make things better? Because I know that community college students are always being criticized if they don't translate. You guys talk about,
Yeah.
like, counselors have meetings once a year, talk about it statewide.
Yes.
Administrators, your department,
Yes. So there's a group called the Research and Planning Group, and that's where most of the researchers, meet here in the Southern California area. And they have this initiative called Leading from the Middle. And so part of that is to bring researchers and middle managers into this discussion about student success, to link the data with the administration and work that's going on with the various initiatives across the state. So I am immersed in that type of work that's going on.
do you see a difference in terms of, from a regional perspective, the students that are from Southern California, Central California, certain parts doing a little bit better than others in regards to your studies? And the reason I'm asking that question, a lot of times the level of income of that particular region, not getting enough funding, will have an impact in a negative way. Negative in the sense that maybe they're not scoring as high.
Mhm. So you see me pull out my notebook. That's a good question. I have not done an analysis yet, but I'm going to jot that down. Because,
I'll charge you extra for that.
all right.
Because later on, I think that you'll have an opportunity to meet with the elected officials, and this is what goes back to trustee Longville. We need to Shine this, we need to, and then we need to meet with, because, you know, at the state level, they have their own researchers on the assembly side and on the senate side. And they're always coming up with things that, well, you know, community college students are transferring back to whatever. I think it might be a good idea. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good
But-
work.
Okay.
Good work.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Trustee Williams, you had a comment?
Yeah, and from a marketing standpoint, like in this data, is there anything in here that you would call out and say, like, this is the reason why you want to come to Crafton or you want to go to Valley College because we're just the best at, you know, X? And then, you know, just from a continuous improvement, what area do you think we need to get razor focused in to just really, you know, really work on improving? Yeah.
That's another one of those really great questions. That there is data that would answer that for me. So I'm certainly going to make another jot down on that, and I'll follow up with Chancellor Rodriguez about that.
Okay.
Chancellor?
Sorry about that. I thought Christopher said we were going to discuss that. I-
Discuss the,
I
yeah.
heard it wrong. We could certainly take a look and dissect all of the different data points to see where the data might influence students to attend either Valley College or Crafton Hills College. Each of the two colleges have strengths and highlights in different areas, so that it might be beneficial for us to take a look at and highlight each campus specifically.
I have a question too.
Trustee Harrison?
On the course success rate by age, I was just curious as, these are percentages, but it doesn't give us the number of students. So out of that group, I'm looking at, looks as though the students over 30 are doing consistently well. The students who are 17 and younger seem to be fairly consistent. It's our 18 to 25 that seem to be, you know, up and down a little bit. So I just wondered as to the numbers. Which age group has the largest number of students? This one just gives me percentages, but if for instance, those who are 40 plus, let's take the 40 plus, only are a small number of students. And they are consistently at 77, 75, you know, they're consistent. But how many raw numbers is that? So out of that age groups, the different age groups, what is the raw number? What is the majority of our students? Are the majority of our students 18 to 25? It seemed to me that we just talked recently about the average age of our students being, what, 26?
About 24 and a half. Yes, we're right.
Yes. So I just wondered, I know this gives us percentages, and we use that data for other things, is the programs and developing all of that, but where is the bulk of our students?
Yeah.
What age group is the bulk of our students in numbers?
The bulk are in that 18 to 24 range.
18 to 24?
Yeah. But the majority of them are in that 18 to 19. We have the data split. If we bin those 18 to 24, you'd see maybe around 65 or so % of the students will fall there. Yeah. Yeah, so they're, and I will continue to make my notes, but I will give you the numbers that go along with those as well,
Please.
the raw counts.
So they're getting younger.
Slightly younger, yeah, they're getting younger. But that's also where we had the lowest attrition in the sense of success rate. We had in 17, 18, 82%, and now it's gone to 73%. So,
Because we enrolled so many folks through the promise, is that why we're so young?
There was a bump.
All high
school
Yeah.
seniors that came, was it 3,000 students? Is that enough to impact that? Is that enough for
yeah.
students?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We had them for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Yep.
I mean, that's the lowest drop that we've seen from 17 to 2020.
Okay,
Correct.
If you want to
There-
continue.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Dr. Crew.
Thank
Great
you.
information. We appreciate that.
How do we use it?
All right, moving on. San Bernardino Valley College Academic Senate.
I come to you tonight prepared, so I stay on track. Before I begin, though, I want to point out that we are in cheer mode, full spirit mode,
Kind of seeing that.
completely
yeah.
unintended, but, and you got the memo, so there you go. And as promised, I want to give a shout out to my faculty body at San Bernardino Valley College who is online watching, because there is a handful that do regularly. So I just start out my welcome in American Sign Language in recognition of Deaf Awareness Month. September is Deaf Awareness Month, and since that is my roots and where I come from, I just want to highlight that. So you may see events happening in the community as a result of that. So I'm pleased to be here again this afternoon or evening, and I've already done my shout out to the faculty. So as usual, I want to highlight some of the great work being done by our faculty body, and the efforts that they're putting forward. The highlights that I always share, sometimes it feels like I'm just providing fluff about what's happening. Still trying to wrap my head around the intent and the purpose of these presentations to the board. And, but recognizing that it is part of providing evidence of the faculty body and how they are striving to meet the goals and the mission of not only the campus, but of the district. So to that end, I wanted to just recognize that we, once again at San Bernardino Valley College, have a complete or nearly complete guided pathways team in terms of our faculty leads. Last semester left us with our faculty leads transitioning out that were in place, but through a lot of work and effort and conversations, we now have those positions filled again, which is really exciting because it allows our work to continue on. And in recognition that there was a lot of foundation made by those in leadership prior to, and just wanting to build on that and to continue to develop the pillars of the guided pathways, and with the ultimate goal of creating a more equitable and engaging and welcoming environment for our students at San Bernardino Valley College. Not that it's not now, but to continue to build on that and to continue to work on that. There's always room for improvement. And just seeing guided pathways is really one of those key components of the work that can be done. I'd like to also highlight book discussions for fall 2021. It's been a long-standing tradition at San Bernardino Valley College. Don't know if you've heard of it in the past. If you have, I'm just bringing it up again. Our English department has spearheaded this work for as long as I've been there, where they host book discussions throughout the semester, books that are selected by the English faculty on campus, and then various faculty members on campus choose or are volunteer to then facilitate those discussions. And so those are up and going again. They've continued through the COVID shutdown and through our alternate form of work. And so they are provided virtually. They happen once a month. They happen on a Tuesday. Our next one is on Tuesday, September 21st at 2:30. And it is a book by Diane Guerrero. I may have mispronounced that. I apologize. Called In the Country We Love, My Family Divided. And so the facilitator of that will be Dean Carmen Rodriguez. So looking forward to that. And if you're interested, I would be happy to have links forwarded if you would like to participate in such discussions. I'd also like to recognize the hard work of our faculty chef, Stacy Meyer, and her team. I know she's not the only chef over there. There's a whole team of them. And in the work in opening up our sunroom and our den. The den serves as a great central location for our students to come together, to grab a drink, grab a refreshment, and to connect, much like we do at Starbucks, right? But within our own home space. And the sunroom serves the same purpose in many, many ways. It has a student service component, allowing them that hands-on business, practical experience. We were able to, some of us were able to go in as a soft opening and to see our students, deer in the headlights, real people, we have to serve them. What do we do? It was a pleasure to be there to allow them that opportunity. And just a great place to kind of, again, come together, have social conversation as well as business conversation, have a great meal at the same time, and be able to support our students. So I know that's been a big undertaking, and the campus is thrilled to have that back. So I will mention that I won't say it's a point of concern at this point, but faculty are looking at numbers. They're looking at enrollment numbers like everybody is, right? And if I had to frame what it looks like right now, is that we're standing on the beach and it's a wave that's out in the ocean. They see the impact of what's happening with COVID, our shutdown, workforce components. There's so many variables to that. And just this ever so slight undertone of concern. Where are we going? Are we still going to be able to be here? How can we stand strong? Is my program going to survive? So I only bring that up so that it's not something that, hopefully that we can gather around them and continue to communicate in the ways that we do and filter out information to them to allow them to feel more secure and knowing that we will survive. We have, and we will continue to do so. Not faculty related, but worth commenting on, our foundation is doing some great work, and I don't want to steal the thunder of anybody who might report on that, but I just want to comment that I do have the privilege or opportunity, I should say, to sit on that board as by position, and I'm super excited. They were able to share some of the invites yesterday and some of the work, and really looking forward to a really great event to happen in San Bernardino. And just the work, and also recognizing the work that's going into that by the foundation to ensure that there is a successful event, because that's not easy to do. And as the last part of my report, just moving into the area of kind of directions, things that we've heard, things that we've received in terms of communication and the work that we're doing, I want to acknowledge that we have clearly heard the institutional goals, or I guess we would maybe even frame them as district goals, the 4 goals that have been brought to us through various pathways, and from the academic senate level, we've already begun our work on that process of looking at what those goals are, assessing what we are currently doing, how that ties in, how we can do things differently to support those goals, and of course that information will be filtered to our president, Dr. Thayer, and to allow it to go through the pathways of communication that are set. And also with the strategic planning, just recognizing that the process so far has been so transparent and so clear and so well presented. So recognizing Christopher and his team, I know I've recognized him in meetings and the work that's being done, and I know it's not one person, but the leadership in place is really, really great. Having gone through one strategic plan or come in at the end of another one, that I just see that it's just really transparent, the work that's happening, and it just builds a sense of trust that what we end up with is going to be very, very relatable for our students, and will allow our faculty and our bodies to do that. So other than that, I want to thank you again, just here as an academic senate president who represents the faculty body at San Bernardino Valley College, and letting you know that we're here. You have questions, you have thoughts, we want to know more. That's what we're here for, and we're happy to engage. And thank you for your time and allowing me to report tonight.
Thank you very much. San Bernardino Valley College Classified Senate. Okay, San Bernardino Valley College Associated Students.
Hi, good evening again. Paul Jarosar, President, Student Government, San Bernardino Valley College. After our successful turnout that we had at I forgot what it was called. It was called a Welcome Back Day. I'm sorry, but we were able to recruit a good number of students to join our student government as senators. We were able to fill our vice president of marketing position, as well as our vice president of interclub council, which is very important, as many of our clubs are coming back on campus. Mecca Club, STEM Club, the SCTA, the PAC Club, the Performing Arts Club, which is a very active club on campus, is coming back, as well as our film club, which has been a very active was an active part of our campus. I've attended meetings myself with that club. The president of that club, Violet Chambers, has done a phenomenal job of organizing it. And speaking of clubs, to see students coming back on campus and just walking around, and for me to sit inside the cafeteria, enjoying the great lunch that's made by the staff in there, and to see myself in a promo on the TV screens for the film TV media program, my freakishly huge back on there, it's kind of you'll notice it. And we have a lot to do to help get our students back, to have a successful year. And I was impressed by the numbers by Mr. Crew of all the students passing transfer level math and English. And hope to accomplish a lot. My vice president of finance, Sophia, Zamora, she's been on me all week long about getting the agenda rolling. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. Crafton Hills College Academic Senate.
Hi, look, I'm in 3D for the first time, and I already miss Zoom a lot. I was really disappointed that I couldn't type up my report and read it like a robot, and then I remembered laptops, so I could still do that. Okay, so we've been doing a lot on the campuses. We're organizing for Hispanic Heritage Month, Native American Heritage Month, and National Coming Out Day. There's been a lot of people that have volunteered to organize those things, but I wanted to thank the faculty leads. Let's see, Isidro Zapita, Chris Oliveira, Josh Robles, Chloe De Los Reyes, Gwen DePonio, Krista Ivy, and Natalie Lopez. And I also want to thank Dr. Erica Paddock, who is our Director of Student Services, who's done a lot to help us organize these, and thank Vice Chancellor Torres for volunteering to speak at our opening ceremony for Hispanic Heritage Month, which is on the 16th at 5 o'clock. A major theme of the changes we're implementing in AS and throughout the campus is growing faculty leadership, and we're reimagining our executive board, committee organization, and committee assignments to support this. A large amount of student support depends on our part-time faculty, and having our meetings face-to-face really silences their voices. So we're working with the statewide academic senate and AB 361 that would allow the current allowances to be maintained during a declared state of emergency. And we're looking forward to attending ASCCC's fall plenary, leading change, teaching, learning, and governance in a hybrid world. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Crafton Hills College Classified Senate. Crafton Hills College Associated Students.
Good evening, honorable trustees and chancellor. It's a pleasure to be here in person, as everyone has preached. So I want to start off my report by saying that last Friday on the 3rd, we discussed the facilities master plan that was brought to us by our Vice President, Mike Strong. He discussed the demolition and the restructuring of our performing arts building, hopefully relocating that to more toward the student square to better enhance our student interactions and so forth. And hopefully by the Student Senate's approval, we'll see parts of that implemented and effective by 2026. Furthermore, on August 28th, interviews were held to fill our vacant seats for our Chief Financial Officer our Chief Financial Officer, as well as our second Senator at Large. We're crossing our fingers to fulfill that last vacant seat for our Senator at Large, making our 3. With discussion, we agreed to continue on with their appointment process. And furthermore, let's see. And so sorry about that. Tomorrow, there's going to be a special board meeting held, and that is on September 9th for tomorrow, to finally finalize our Club Rush date. Hoping for a good turnout for that as well. And just to conclude my report, I want to congratulate 2 of our Senate members because they actually got accepted to the statewide leadership, the Guided Pathway Leadership Institutional Program. So I want to congratulate Sean Ceballos and Engia Campos for that. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much. CSEA?
Ms. Thomas is unable to join us this evening, sends her regrets.
All right. CTA?
Hey again. Meredith couldn't make it, so she texted me a report again, so it was gonna be fun. So just pretend I'm Meredith. Okay, so good evening and welcome, Chancellor Rodriguez. It's been wonderful to be back on campus and see faculty and students in person. We did a grab and go lunch at Crafton, which was well received. This month, we will do another in-person lunch at Crafton and a Zoom update at Valley. To stay in touch with faculty, we posted a new podcast, which has outtakes at the end, very entertaining, with back-to-school information, and have updated our website to reflect the newest elected members of the SBCCD TA Executive Board. Negotiations hit the ground running, and we're looking forward to a collaborative and productive year of working with administration to continually improve our contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was excellent. Police Officers Association.
Good evening. Good to see you all again in person. Well, we're happy to announce that we have 2 new members to our association, Anson Laura and Shay Manning. Both have very unique experience in law enforcement, and they're going to make a great addition to the district and to the association in general. Laura, in fact, is actually a homegrown Valley. He came from the the academy at Valley, and so we're very happy to have him along as well, and we hope when more people join, we get more from Valley as well. Keep it in-house and make it more personable. Unfortunately, as 2 come in, we also lose 1. Our officer, Jose Pacencia, was a corporal. He just promoted to Cal State San Bernardino as a sergeant. Unfortunately, we lost a great officer, but they've gained an excellent supervisor. He's always been a great supervisor role for our department. He was instrumental in creating our association. And we do keep in close contact if you see him or hear him around. He's also on our radio still, so because we use them. So, also, we'd like to congratulate our president, Stephanie Babineau. She's earned Officer of the Year from the department. Another instrumental officer in our department. She has a very fiery personality, if you've ever met her. Great officer to have, and we're very happy to have her for the district and for the association. Otherwise, that's all for our report. Thank you again for being back in person and reopening the school and having us to have something to look at other than empty parking lots. So, be safe and always know that we are available 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you very much. San Bernardino Valley College Interim President.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share what's going on at Valley College. 3 weeks in, we've started our fall semester, so we're excited to see students back on campus little by little as we transition back to in-person classes and also services. So I echo your sentiments. It's good to see cars in the parking lot, and there's no complaints about parking this semester. So we will take that as it comes. Just wanted to share some things that are going on. Been able to attend some community events as well as some exciting things happening on campus. Just yesterday, actually, attended the Inland Leaders Reception, where I had a chance to meet with Chancellor Rodriguez and our foundation board president, the new president of the University of Redlands, Krista Newkirk. So we had an opportunity really to share a lot of the great work that's happening in our district and really trying to strengthen the relationships and talk about partnerships potentially existing, et cetera. So it was really a good opportunity. A little warm, but it was a good evening to do that. So San Bernardino Valley College, we're going to be participating as a pilot college with Haku in this partnership with Google. And so it's Grow with Google HSI Career Readiness Program. And so what it'll do is it's going to provide students additional opportunities to improve their career readiness and develop the digital skills needed to find and secure internships and jobs. So we're excited that we were selected as one of the pilot colleges. And so we had an orientation last week, and so waiting for more information to come on that. So would be really good for our students in the Career Center and in working with Google and Haku. Attending, also had an opportunity to attend a community meeting, the WAG meeting with Chancellor Rodriguez again, where we got to share what's happening at Valley College, happening in the district, answer questions about what we're doing. And it was just a good opportunity to reconnect with community members and leadership groups. So we did that, and it turned out really well, and we are now I'm going to be meeting more regularly with the group, keep them informed about what we're doing at the college, and keep our connections. Dr. Smith is still a member and continues to be there, and he's always connected to the college, so we always appreciate his support and the work that he's done and continues to do. I also attended our new faculty welcome event virtually, but it was really good to see our new faculty members, to share the vision of the college, of the institution, just to see the folks together as they start their journey as full-time faculty at Valley College. So that was really nice to be able to do that, and our professional development team did a great job coordinating that and getting everybody onto the Zoom rooms that were appropriate. We also were approved for $100,000 from San Manuel. We'll continue to work with them through our foundation for our Valley Bound Commitment Program, so we're really excited about that. We're also entering into a partnership with San Manuel with a mentorship program. And so identifying some of our students who will be mentored by the tribe. So more information to come on that, but it's exciting for the college, for our students to be able to have that opportunity. Athletics is back. Our football team, our fall sports are in person and doing well. We've kicked off the season. So we have women's volleyball, we have football, soccer, cross country, and all of our athletes, all of our sports are following strict COVID protocols, which is in alignment with the state association. And so athletes are excited to be back in action and participating. We know our student athletes are some of our most successful students because they're full-time, and they have an incentive to be successful because they want to continue to compete. So excited to have them back in a healthy and safe way. The last thing I would like to say, I want to thank the board for approving tonight's consent item. In that approval, we have a new interim vice president for student services. She's here tonight, Dr. Olivia Rosas. And so, Dr. Rosas, if you just would stand just to see, she will be with us now. And I'll briefly share some of her background, over 30 years in higher education, most recently at Cal State San Bernardino, where she was associate vice president over enrollment equity. She's been over admissions, financial aid. So just a plethora of experience. And we are excited that she is joining us at this time to help us continue the work that we started. So just want to thank the board for the approval this evening, and welcome Dr. Olivia Rosas for accepting, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Crafton Hills College President.
Good evening. Trustee Williams, I welcome the opportunity to drop data about what makes it great to go to Crafton. And for the past 2 years, one of the data points that was on there this evening is that Crafton Hills College enjoys having the highest course success rate in Region 9, so of the entire region. So that's something we regularly talk to students about, why they should come to Crafton Hills College. So thanks for encouraging us to share that data. Thank you to Trustee Houston she mentioned she led strategic planning at our JPA meeting, and she did an excellent job. It was a refreshing conversation about how we can re-envision the JPA and the college district's role within that. And I'm looking forward to the presentation that we'll be able to bring forward and all the great things. The staff at the JPA, I just want to, you'll see it when we do the presentation, they are international experts on what they do, and that's aviation firefighting, and it's really impressive what they bring to our region and to the county of San Bernardino. I guess we took the shock and awe approach with the University of Redlands. I too met with President Krista Newkirk at the University of Redlands last week to welcome her, and also to really explicitly talk about how we can increase our partnerships with the University of Redlands being one of our closest transfer partners in the area. And it was a wonderful meeting, and I think she's going to bring a new vision and a new approach to the University of Redlands as well. We have several events coming up this month. The great thing about this hybrid approach is that some of them are in person and some of them are still virtual, but we have a lot of wonderful things happening. As Brandy Bayless mentioned, we have our Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff event next week on September 15th. It's the start of 5 weeks of incredible programming that's going to be, each week is going to have incredible events. On September 16th, we're having a virtual career fair in partnership with College of the Desert. And we have over 40 employers that are going to be available to our students to promote them as employment opportunities post their time at Crafton. And on September 21st, we're having a transfer fair, and we have over 50 colleges participating to entice our students to transfer to their institutions. And at the end of this month, each of the board members are invited to join our foundation for our Team Crafton event on September 30th at Escape Craft Brewery. This is an event that is to honor all the employees at the college who give $50 a year or more to the foundation in support of our students. And just as a side note, the owner of Escape, one half of the owners, Josh and Melissa Fisher. Josh Fisher is a alumni of our Paramedic and Fire Academy, and they've both been a wonderful support to our college foundation over the years. And Trustee Reyes, you'll be pleased to know that we have set up a process that Dr. Delmy Spencer is leading a process that we're sending up to 10 students to Haku coming up. And so we're really excited about the opportunities that's going to present for our students. And in addition to the 2 students that were shared participating in the Guided Pathways Leading Project, we actually have a total of 4 students serving on the Region Leadership Program for Guided Pathways. And I want to thank the Student Association for supporting them in that. And that is my report.
Thank you. Trustee Harrison, you had a comment?
Yes, I just wanted you to know that I read the report from Crafton Hills. Congratulations on spotlighting all of your new employees, people who have received awards from the staff. And I only had one question. You have Yuki Toyoka Smith, but it doesn't say what department she's. Art?
Yes, she is.
I assumed that it was
she is in
art.
our art department.
But
and
it highlighted all of the new employees, and I really appreciated that. Put a face to them, people who from faculty like Diane Failer, who was recognized by the students at CSU. So I really enjoyed that. And the report from Valley College on all your programs and all the things that are coming up, I really enjoyed reading both of them. So I just wanted to say that it was chock full of information. Thank you.
Trustee Williams, you had a comment?
Just a question. at our next meeting, can we get the general numbers? Like, are we 100% back with faculty and staff? Like number of people on campus? Like how many students are actually on campus versus, how many are in our online or doing some type of hybrid? Can we just get a gauge on what things look like?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So lots going on. Thank you, everyone, for your reports. The next item on our agenda are information items. Are there any information items that anyone wants to pull for discussion?
There's a lot there now.
There is a lot there. Good information. I was impressed with the number of volunteers.
Yes.
Amazing number of volunteers. All right, then, the next item is the announcement of closed session items. So in closed session, we will be discussing conference with labor negotiators, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, non-reemployment items, conference with legal counsel on anticipated and existing litigation, conference with real property negotiator, and public employee performance evaluation. So that is what we will be talking about in closed session. So we're going to end this portion of the meeting, go into, no. Are there any public comments on closed session items? Okay, then, yes, sir.
Then immediately before we go into closed session, I just wanted to note the fact that we had the report earlier on the program of education of released prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
And that program is one which I really am proud of what we do there. It is not serving a huge number, but it's serving a significant number of people with services that is very difficult for those people to get access to. And it makes a massive difference in their lives. It's one of the things I'm proudest of, and we do a lot of good things. This entity, like all community college district, does some wonderful things, and I think we're one of the very best. And this is one of the things that is just so stunning that we achieve. And I want to thank all of our staff, everyone who's involved in any way in that program, for the extraordinary service they're providing, and the difference they're making in the lives of the people in our area, and not just the former prisoners themselves, but their families. And I mean, it is just extraordinary, the impact this has. It's one of the things I'm proudest of that we do. And before we go into closed session, I didn't want to leave without commenting on that, because I realize most of our folks are going to leave while we're in closed session.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Trustee Longfield. Very well said. So at this point, I'm going to reconvene the board into closed session to discuss the items listed. But first, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to go to closed session, after which we'll come back out, reconvene, report out, and adjourn. So thank you for those of you that are just here until now. Mm-hmm. With a quorum, we are reconvening the public meeting. There is a report of action in closed session. Clerk Harrison, would you please read out the report?
On September 9th, 2021, the board, by majority vote of 6 board members voting yes and trustee Williams voting against, took action to approve settlement of workman's comp claim number 573618 with employee number 29805.
Madam Chair, if I, with trustee Anderson's concurrence, I'd like to just correct a slight, she said that 6 voted yes and 1 voted no, and there were only 6 of us in there, so 5 voted yes and 1 voted no.
Oh, 5.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who are we missing?
Singer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, so thank you very much for that
Thank
correction.
you.
So with 6
Thank
of us there and 1 voting no. All right, excellent. Thank you very much. I want to adjourn the meeting. The next meeting of the board is a strategy session on the board self-evaluation review on September 23rd, 2021 at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom on Hospitality Lane. And I'd like to adjourn this meeting in honor of Dr. Donald Singer's 85th birthday, which is today. Happy birthday, Dr. Singer. We are adjourned.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are you sure it's today? I thought it was the 15th.
She said it was today, and I believe her.
It's almost, what's
Who's happy birthday?
The 15th.
Yeah.
He said 15, I'm the 16th.